So the Tank X is Unihertz 8849 latest tank device, which brings in a few questions of, is this device the successor to the Tank 4 Pro? And what's the upgrades compared to previous tank devices? Well, in this video, I'm going to answer some of those questions. So let's get straight into it. Sit back, relax, and get your popcorn ready and follow me on this journey. Let's go. What's up, guys? This is Eric back with another video. So I've already made a video about the Unihertz Tank X, going over the specs and my thoughts about it. I will leave that link down in the description below. Check it out. It's pretty interesting, right? So here are some upgrades and some downgrades about the Tank X. Let's get right into it. First, the Unihertz Tank X is not the successor of the Tank 4 Pro due to the rumors that we've been hearing that the Tank 5 Pro is coming out very soon in 2026. So no, the Tank X is not the successor of the Tank 4 Pro. It's just not happening. Okay, so let's talk about the operating system. Well, the Tank 4 Pro is running Android 14 to boot. That's unfortunately, right? Compared to the Tank X, which is running Android 15. Now, both devices is running outdated software. But I've been told, and I've seen a couple of comments of people saying that they've received Android 15 on the Tank 4 Pro. Unfortunately, mine is still stuck on Android 14 with November 2024 security patches. Now, the all-new Tank X is on Android 15 with November 2025 security patches. So look, we are in 2026. So both of these devices is running old security patches and both of these devices is running old operating system. Just so you know, Android 14, Android 15 on the X. And people have been saying that the Tank 4 Pro has received Android 15. I have not received any updates on my Tank 4 Pro, but that's what I've seen in the comments. Next, the Tank X has a 1080p DLP projector, which is a nice upgrade from the previous Tank devices like the Tank 4 Pro, which has a 720p projector. So yes, it's an overall better quality and is a higher resolution compared to the Tank 4 Pro. So listen, when it comes down to the projector, I'm overall impressed on the resolution and the quality of the Unihertz Tank X when it comes down to the projector. Next, the Tank X is running the Dimensity 8200 processor with 16 gigs of RAM, which was the same processor found in the Tank 3 Pro. Now, the Tank 4 Pro and the Unihertz Shock has the Dimensity 8300. Now, all of them have 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage. The Tank X is a downgrade when it comes down to processing power because you got the 8200 here versus the 8300. I mean, look, they all run really good, but you need to know that the Tank X has a downgraded processor from the Tank 4 Pro, just so you know. Next, let's talk about screen brightness. It's the difference between the Tank X and the Tank 4 Pro. The Tank X is a little dimmer than the Tank 4 Pro. One of the things I was noticing when I was shooting outside using the Tank X that it was very difficult to see the display. The Tank 4 Pro is a brighter, overall better display when looking at it, to me, in my eyes, compared to the Tank X. You just need to know that, to me, I believe that the Tank 4 Pro display is more vibrant, more colorful, and more brighter compared to the Tank X. You need to know that. Okay, so let's talk about the battery tech. It's a big difference in the Tank X compared to the Tank 4 Pro. The Tank X has a 17,600 milliamp battery compared to the Tank 4 Pro, which has 11,600 milliamp battery. Now, to be clear, both devices are going to give you days of on-screen time and months of standby time. So both of them is a boss when it comes down to battery life, but you're going to get longer battery life out of the Tank X because of the huge battery here. But if you're using a projector a lot, or if you're using, just say you're playing a lot of games, or you're using the lights on the back, it's definitely going to vary, but you're going to get better battery life out of the Tank X versus the Tank 4 Pro, just so you know. Okay, so let's talk about the weight and size of both of these devices because it's huge, right? I got the Tank 4 Pro and the Tank X here. Let's talk about it. The Tank 4 Pro is 86 millimeters wide, 179 millimeters tall, and 23 millimeters thick, and it weighs 530 grams. The Tank X is 91 millimeters wide, 180 millimeters tall, and 32 millimeters thick with a staggering 750 grams, which is 220 grams difference. That's a huge difference. As I said in my previous video, the Tank X is so heavy, it's feeling like a small TV at this point, right? And I just can't use this device as my daily driver because it's so heavy. I mean, it's very heavy and it's so thick. So when it comes down to weight and size and usability, the Tank 4 Pro is definitely better when it comes down to that because if you as you can see here, there are definitely difference when it comes down to the size, and the weight is almost unbearable on the Tank X, just so you know. Okay, so let's talk about these cameras. The Tank X has a 50 megapixel main, 64 megapixel night vision camera, 8 megapixel 3x telephoto camera, and a 50 megapixel front camera. Now, this device can shoot 4K 30 frames per second. Unfortunately, there has no optical image stabilization on here, and in my opinion, testing out the Tank X, the cameras are just okay. The video footage is going to be a little jittery, but the Tank 4 Pro has a 50 megapixel main, 64 megapixel night vision, a 50 megapixel telephoto, and a 32 megapixel front camera, and it also can shoot 4K 30 frames per second, no optical image stabilization. And again, these camera systems to me is just okay. I think that the Tank 4 Pro has a little better image quality compared to the Tank X, but hopefully we get some software updates to make it better. But the camera system on Unihertz devices is just okay in my opinion. They're not the best, not even close, but just okay. But you need to know that. Next, the Tank X and almost every Unihertz 8849 devices does not have wideband L1 support. They all have L3 support. For some strange reason, Unihertz do not want to get L1 certification on none of their devices. Now, what does that mean? Well, when you watching streaming services like Netflix and stuff like that, you cannot watch it at 1080p or above. You will be capped out at 480p or 720p, low quality, low resolution on their devices. So if you're using the projector, the 1080p projector, you will be watching Netflix and other streaming services at a low quality or a low resolution. Now, as far as YouTube, you can watch that at 1440p, right? But if you watch it in any streaming services, since these devices are not certified, doesn't have the L1 support, you will be capped out at 480p. So yes, you will see some degradation in quality if you're streaming using the projector on these devices. If you're watching YouTube, you may get a better quality, but if you're watching Netflix or Hulu or HBO Go or something like that, you would definitely lose resolution and you would definitely lose quality if you're using a projector. Just so you know, it's not certified when it comes down to wideband L1 support. We got wideband L3 support on these devices, and that's kind of a bummer, especially the use of the projector. You need to know that. And finally, the price. The Tank X will be the highest Unihertz 8849 device to date before discounts. Right now, it's at $599. The regular price of the Tank X is $1,049. Now, the Tank 4 Pro is at $629. That's discounted. Regular price for the Tank 4 Pro is $929. So these devices are high-end flagship prices before discounts. Very expensive. This is the reasons why I call them out, because I could tell you that at $1,000 for these devices, I feel that there's no way that we can have inconsistency when it comes down to software updates and security patches. Also, I have an issue with the wideband L1 support because these devices have wideband L3 support. I believe that at $1,000 at regular price with these devices, it should be certified at L1 support. Now, I believe that a software update can bring it up to L1 support, but right now it's definitely at L3 support. Also at $1,000 with these devices cost regularly, right? I believe that they should have optical image stabilization when it comes down to the camera system. Now, to be clear, on their website is always discounted, right? You see the $599, the $629, and $239 and stuff like that. But I always tend to look at the regular price because at one point it's going to go back to regular price. So hopefully that answers some of you guys' questions about the Tank X. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the all-new Tank X in all its glory. See you guys on the next video. Peace.